Welcome to the Shadow Signal, the frequency of the unknown. I'm Josh Rutledge.
And I'm Stephen Gearhart. Together we dive deep into high strangeness, UFOs, cryptids, the paranormal, psychic phenomenon, and the hidden truths that echo just beneath the surface.
Somewhere between reality and myth lies the signal. Can you hear it?
Tune in. The Shadow Signal is live. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another monthly fantastic episode of The Shadow Signal with Josh and Stefan. I am your host, Stefan Gearhart, and I am joined, as always, by my non-abducted friend, Mr. Josh Rutledge. Thank you for not being abducted this episode so that we could have you on.
Well, how do you know I'm not doing the episode from the craft?
From the mothership?
Yep. I mean, they had a podcast room specifically constructed for my usage.
For your usage?
I
mean, could be. But then I would say you wouldn't have been abducted. You would have been invited.
Yeah, they made it look like my office and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So
but on the other side of the camera that you can't see is three mantids scowling at me right now because I revealed a secret.
Yep. And because you're a male and they just want to rip your head off and impregnate your body.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it is.
So anyways, we got a really cool episode tonight. We're going to be talking about two topics tonight for our main topic. But before we get into that, let's go and move straight into Psychic Word of the Week.
And now, the Psychic Word of the Week.
All right, Psychic Word of the Week is brought to you by the Encyclopedic Psychic Dictionary by Dr. June G. Bletzer, PhD. Rest in peace, Honey Bear. I loved you, but I never even knew you. Were you nude? You.
What's that
Anyways,
now? Okay.
What? Tally-ho, what? So I flipped through the pages, and what jumped out at me is one that you and I are very familiar with, as well as Santosh and a lot of others. But the word is psychic shield. Psychic shield. Interesting.
Is that when I push you in front of me?
No, that's when I push you in front of me because I knew it was going to happen.
Okay.
No, psychic shield is an atmosphere of electrical energy built around a person by oneself or another that affords protection from low quality or negative vibrations. High quality verbiage, positive introductions, or prayers cling to the person according to the intensity of the emotion behind them to build this mental atmospheric wall. It utilizes the law of like attracts like and offers protection accordingly. It is used for 1, before opening psychic doors, 2, before entering a crowd. Boy, I've done that a million times. 3, before going to work or driving the car. I have done that a bazillion times. 4, as a reminder that the soul mind only accepts psychic information that is for its highest good when in an alpha state of consciousness or hypnotized. Can be built mentally, telepathically by a concerned person for his or her friend who may be doing something dangerous. Believed that the CIA put a psychic shield around President Ford and Henry Kissinger, so mind-reading experts from communist countries could not pick their thoughts. That's an example. It was believed that, the CIA put a psychic shield around the president and Henry Kissinger.
Well, you know what they say. You can pick your friends and you can pick your thoughts, but you can't pick your friends' thoughts.
Yeah, you can't pick your friends' thoughts unless you're super psychic.
Right.
Dang, man, there's like 3 pages of psychic. I guess the psychic dictionary would have 3, 4, 5, 6 pages of psychic words
6, 7.
Start with psychic. 6, 7.
You know what was interesting, what you read, two things that I picked up on that I had not really thought about before, but I guess, is the projecting a shield around somebody else.
Yeah. I'm sure I've done it before, but I just hadn't thought about it.
I mean, I know that I've Reiki people who are going into tough situations before, but And I guess in a way that's like a shield. I mean, it's positive
Yeah.
thoughts and positive intention. The other thing that kind of I thought about is, I mean, if you really wanted to, you could make your shielding exercise be as simple as, I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever is out there bounces off me and sticks to you, or something like
That's
that. Like you
funny.
can make it
Yeah.
fun as long as the intention
Yep.
is there.
Never thought about using that, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I love shielding. I've been using it since my early days of energy work.
Same,
There
me too.
are so many unintentional psychic vampires out there that I want to
Oh,
just drain you. That shielding is just
I know a
the
few. I know a few.
and it's always good to think about sometimes the hardest substance you could think of enveloping you, and I always think of being a comic book nerd. I always think of adamantium, or adamantium. So
And adamantium is what they put in Coca-Cola.
that is what makes it so good.
Yeah,
Not a sponsor.
not a sponsor, but if they want a sponsor, we will plug Coke Zero, because you and I are both we both prefer Coke.
Yep, that's a fact. Facts, because Pepsi's trash. Sorry
Yeah,
if we just lost you as a
It's if I wanted to drink flat
battery
Coke,
acid.
if I wanted to drink flat Coke, I would drink Pepsi.
Yeah, the Diet Pepsi tastes like battery acid. So I'm just saying that
'Cause
was in the psychic dictionary. I didn't.
You've had battery acid before, have you?
Well, yeah, I was abused
Oh,
by my
okay.
ex. Here, honey, have some water.
Oh,
Battery
well, there
acid.
you go. Little did people know that the scene from Signs where she's putting, pine sol in the girl's soup. It was based on a true story for you.
Mm-hmm. For me, 100%.
Yeah.
6'7".
It's sad. Anyways,
All right.
also my wife, when I was editing last month's episode, pointed out that since we do a monthly show, it should be a psychic word of the month.
No.
But
I expect everyone to be looking up their own words weekly.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's homework.
It's homework.
We give you a
I
word.
have specified 1,000 times the name of this book and the author for you to go to Abe Books or go to thriftbooks.com and find this book, since it is out of print.
Yeah, I found it at a Half Price Books one time. I didn't buy it.
You did? Oh,
I should
you're
have
a
bought
fool.
it. I should have bought it.
Let me check right now. I'm going to check Amazon, see if it's on there.
You do
Ooh.
that.
I could feel everybody's anticipation.
Yeah, I know.
Psychic. Oops, I can't even do it.
Encyclopedia Psychic Thoughts.
Psychic.
The last time I looked on there, it was out of print.
Okay, here it is.
One used copy for like $400.
Yeah. Used copy for $37.07. There's another copy for $33.04. So there's two copies right now on Amazon. There is a hardcover version, which would be nice to have. That one's $92.63.
Yeah. I mean, when this episode goes out in a few days, those copies may be gone. Unless someone has psychically listened to the episode already.
Ooh,
and picked it up.
So the version, I don't know if it's the first version or a second version, but it says the Dawning International Encyclopedic Psychic Dictionary. Interesting. I don't know what that means.
Also by
still
Gene
waiting
G. Bletzer?
for. Yeah, that's the same book. I'm still waiting for Bletzer's family to reach out to us.
Yeah.
I've put out psychic shields for their family.
Right.
To protect them. So, come find us. We want to talk.
Yep. Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Well, moving on.
I think we've beat this psychic shield to death at this point.
For our psychic word of the day. So.
Of the hour.
Anyways, well, let's move on to our fun topic, which is interrupted transmissions.
Interrupted transmissions.
So I don't have anything, which is disappointing, but it's been a crazy month for me.
Yeah.
I'm just busy, and so I haven't paid attention. So what about you? Have you had anything going on?
I do. So you know this, but recently, last week, I was in Kentucky, and back in the good old home state, if you will,
Yep.
which I quickly realized that I do not like the humidity, and was so glad to be back in Phoenix, even though it was 111 on Monday. It was a dry heat, and
Well, and it was
that's
funny
what
because as soon as you left, it was like the humidity dropped. It was nice and cool on Sunday, and like it was,
Wow.
yeah,
Maybe
it was
it's not,
crazy.
I'm full of hot air. That's what it is, I guess.
Yep, it's true.
So while I was there, I got together with a high school friend, and we were just talking about all the kind of stuff that's been going on in the world of UFOs. It seems like every so often he messages me, a text message or something, just to see my thoughts or something on whatever's
Is
going
this the
on.
mysterious Jay who
It
we had
is
on the show before?
Yeah, it is Mysterious Jay.
Mhm.
And anyway, so I was out at his house and we were just kind of hanging out and talking about stuff. And so we decided to go outside and play the UFO or UAP whistle that, the Skywatcher group came out with about a year ago. And so we were playing that. And he was, at one point he was like, hey, how do people call these things in? And, I said, well, meditation and stuff. And he's like, well, I don't know
Whatever.
what
You were probably like,
you
yeah.
mean. I mean, I was excited, but yes. And so I set him down in one of his patio chairs, and I led him through a guided meditation. And he had a phenomenally amazing experience that I don't want to share a lot of details about because it's personal to him, but I'll just say that it was a pudding moment for me. And the last time that we were together, like 2 years ago, I did Reiki on him because he was having a panic attack, and he was like, all the anxiety just like pushed out of his body, and so that was a pudding moment for me as well. So it's like, when I need reassurances, I have to go see the Mysterious Jay, so that I can do the things that I do for everybody else and get some kind of instant feedback. But yeah, it was an amazing experience. I haven't heard from him since the experience, so hopefully he's not stuck himself in a closet pulling his hair out because he can't
With a
explain what he
tinfoil hat.
experienced.
He's wearing a tinfoil hat.
He's got every window in his house is covered in aluminum foil.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it was a great experience, and it was a great experience to have with him. And then it was just a really good, like I said, pudding moment. And for anybody who's like, pudding moment, what do you mean? Stefan, you came up with that. What does pudding moment mean?
Nope, that was Santosh, but one of us. But the proof is in the pudding, is the saying, and we just shortened it up to pudding moments.
There you go. Now, prior to that visit to the Kentucky area, about a week and a half prior, I had been out to my friend Shane's house for our friend Shane's house for a get together with some people.
Oh, you mean the Mysterious Shane?
No, Dave Scott calls him the Beard of Knowledge.
The Beard of Knowledge. I like that.
So. But anyways, and we didn't really see much that evening when we were all together with the group. But the next morning, or like during the day, it was like 11 o'clock in the morning, I saw my first full-bodied, not orb in the sky, but like full-bodied UFO off in the distance. That was really weird. It was like a totally blue sky. There was this lone cloud out over the Superstition Mountains, and I saw this white, what I'll describe as, tic-tac type thing moving across the cloud. And I immediately, we get a lot of air traffic, being this close to the Mesa Gateway Airport, so I immediately thought it was an airplane. And so when it was moving, by in front of the cloud, I waited. When it got to the other end of the cloud, I expected to be able to see it clearly because it would have been a
Right.
white speck on a blue sky. But when it got to the end of the cloud, it disappeared.
Interesting.
And I checked, I went ahead and checked on my tools to see if, like, there was a plane out there, and for some reason I just couldn't see it. But there was no air traffic transponding in that area of the sky at the time that I saw it. And I validated the time because I went to the Ring camera in my backyard to look and see when I had run outside to say, oh my gosh, I think I just saw a UFO. So I validated the time and look at 5 minutes prior and 5 minutes after to validate that there was no air traffic. And it has to be transponding because it's within so many miles of an active airport.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I saw my first bona fide, solid Tic Tac UFO.
That's better than a boner fied one. So, moving on. Let's move on to our main topics.
The main story.
That's right, folks. If you missed out at the beginning, I said main topics. We're going to cover 2 topics tonight, and not in like a top 5 type way. We just got 2 things that we really, really want to talk about, and we couldn't figure out which one, so we decided to talk about both.
Yep. Kind of like when you have 2 kids and you can't pick a favorite.
Yeah, well, you can. You just don't tell the other one.
Okay, so yeah, we just won't tell one topic which one is more important.
Important, that's right. But so to begin, the first thing it is, if you didn't hear, Josh was in Kentucky, and I was heading to Ohio, and so we had a small window to go watch the new Steven Spielberg film Disclosure Day. So we ended up getting advance tickets the night before it was out, and got together and went and saw Disclosure Day. So we wanted to talk a little bit about our thoughts on this movie.
Now, I will say that we will try very hard not to
spoil
any spoilers.
So I'm not even going to talk about the third act.
No. However, if we accidentally do, since this is recorded and edited after the fact, I will cut it out. So just definitely so you know. You can,
just put a big beep.
You can speak freely.
Right.
So yeah, Disclosure. I mean, I feel like the movie was really hyped. Not just for being a Spielberg movie, but like even within the UFO community, it was really, really hyped as being like, this is Spielberg breaking disclosure, and the film should be watched with an understanding of it's going to bring about disclosure for everybody. Well, and so
there's theory. Well, because there's conspiracy theory and lore behind Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that there was government involved, and that he knew things, that the government knew things, and they allowed him to show certain things, yada yada yada. And so this had even more of that surrounding it.
Right. And the fact that, the film by itself, just at face value, is about a government conspiracy. So, in an attempt to cover up the truth. So it adds to then the mystery of, is Spielberg somehow in the loop, and is he,
right.
The craziest theory that I heard prior to Disclosure Day coming out was that the clicking noise that you heard in the trailer was subliminal messaging put into the film by the deep state to cause us all to fall for a false flag event.
But what's interesting is we found out, I found out through a little research that the lead actress, what is her, Emily Blunt?
Yep.
Correct? That she was just told to improvise something. And she did that on her own. Or did she? No, I think she did. I think she did, because she's an amazing actress. And she was just kind of told to make something up, and she did that. I think they said there's a full 2.5 minutes of her of doing
Wow.
it that's on the cutting room floor, of her just making up that clicking noise. And
I just lost your audio, and you're breaking up. Did I lose you, or did you drop altogether? I guess we shouldn't have talked about the clicking. Are you back? I still don't have your audio.
okay, are you back? You
Yep,
don't have my audio?
I do now.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what happened. It disconnected and reconnected.
It's because we're talking about the clicking. That's what it was.
I know. Leave that in.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
let's go ahead and leave that in. So if you just heard, we started talking about the clicking and false flag event and all that stuff, and all of a sudden
Yep.
my headset went wonky. So yeah, that was wild.
And you froze too, like you dropped the internet connection.
Yeah, you froze on me too, but yeah, I noticed my internet dropped down to 1 bar. Interesting. Very, very interesting.
Interesting.
Well,
yeah.
needless to say, let's kind of go back to this. I loved this movie. I loved it. And what's interesting is I felt as an experiencer myself, it really spoke to me. It triggered a lot of things. I cried a lot.
Mhm.
It really got me. And then as the UFO nerd in me, there were all kinds of like little cameos like Kecksburg and Roswell, of course, and things like that you know, us UFO nerds know about. That was kind of neat as a thing to see. But yeah, I think it really I honestly, because like the reviews that I see are really split. I don't see anybody going, it's okay. Yeah, it was pretty good. No, it's either I loved it or meh, right?
Yeah.
And most of the meh that I see are like nuts and bolts type people, or people that haven't had any experiences, or non-paranormal people. They're just kind of like, whatever. But like all of the people that you can tell are experiencers, or people that have seen stuff or been through it, or have just, you know, gotten lost in this, they love it. They absolutely love it.
You know what's really interesting, and I shared my experience with Shane Hurd, and he shared a similar experience that when I first sat down for the movie, I had like an uneasiness about what to expect and what my reaction was going, like almost like a weird kind of sense of dread of, you know, did I really want to watch, you know, this movie? But by the end of the movie, I mean, I had none of that was remaining. And it's weird that like I said, that our friend Shane also had a similar experience the first time he watched it.
Yeah.
But I mean, yes, same. I cried a few times.
We even held hands.
We did. I mean, my wife was sitting next to me, and she was like looked over at me and with a weird look on her face because I was crying in this movie. But I also cried in E.T. You know, so because
you know, I was gonna ask, because your wife's into this kind of stuff. What did she think of the film?
I think, you know, I asked her about it. She said it was a pretty good, you know, movie. I don't think she doesn't really have the experiencer side of, you know, the interest. So for her, it was just a movie. You know, it was just a Spielberg movie.
Right.
But I think she, for the most part, liked it. For her, I think it was our movie. As the individual that was on the other side of her in the movie theater, was not a good movie attendant. Like he was distracting or whatever, kept clearing his throat. I don't know what, I can't remember what all she said, but so she didn't really she didn't fully enjoy the movie.
He was right next to her instead of like giving a space between
Right.
when there was no one on the other side.
There was no one on the other side. Yeah. It's like, It's like when as men, when you go to use the urinal and there's like all
Yep,
these
yeah,
other urinals, but they stand right next to you. Yeah.
yep, it's
It's like they,
awkward.
they don't want to be lonely or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Uh,
so yeah, bottom line, if you're listening to this and you haven't seen it, you should definitely go see it. If you're an experiencer, be prepared for,
an emotional ride.
some triggering, aspect of it. Not necessarily triggering in a negative way, I don't think,
Yeah.
um, but just like I don't know, an awareness, a happiness, if you will.
Sure.
Um,
And it's interesting. I saw an interview with Spielberg on TikTok, and he was talking about the question he asked is, "Have you ever seen a UFO or seen aliens?" And he says, "No," and I'm pissed about it. I'm like their biggest fan and their biggest supporter, and yet I've never had an experience. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yep. I mean, yeah. Hey, Stephen, if you're listening to this and you want to get together and go out and do a conscious contact meditation with me,
Yeah,
I seem to
let's
have
do
a
it.
pretty good track record of helping people have experiences.
Yep, you do, you do.
So
But
anyways,
yeah, I highly recommend the
I
disclosure
would
thing.
say also, to the comment around, will this usher in disclosure sooner?
Sure.
I think, and this was my position before the movie came out, and it stands my position today, is that what this movie brings is the possibility for people who are either like staunchly against the topic or on the edge of the fringe of being able to, willing to consider that it may be possible. If they go see this movie with a friend who is, let's call them an initiated, they may come out with a different perspective, and it may spawn some additional deep conversation, and they may leave, the movie as well as, the conversation with their friend with a different viewpoint of the topic.
Yep. I just know I stayed up most of the night thinking about it, and the next day thinking about it. And it's a possible path to what disclosure could actually look like, since we are in the middle of a time of some sort of disclosure. I mean, war.gov is releasing a lot of new files and things like that. It's not necessarily disclosure, but the last 10 years we've seen more
Yeah.
than we've ever seen.
Well, that's been my argument, really over the last probably 4 years. Anybody who's listening to me on any of our shows or anybody else's shows is probably tired of hearing it, but because we haven't really defined what disclosure is, how can we really know if we're, how far along towards disclosure we are? Because your idea of disclosure may be different than mine. And so until we define it, milestones or something, and come together as a community and kind of all agree that this is what disclosure is, then we can't possibly know if we have achieved it or if we're still 100 years away from it.
Yeah. I just, man, and maybe this is spoilery or not, but the house, is that spoiler?
What's that?
Her dreaming about a house. Would that be considered a spoiler?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's kind of key to the.
Okay, then I won't talk about it anymore. But I just, I brought it up to you that my own experience involved a house as well. So
Yeah.
very, very interesting the way that it was put forward.
And also, I don't think this is a spoiler because it's in the trailer, but your own experience also involved animals, and animals are a key aspect of this movie in the later scenes. So just, and I've talked to a lot of experiencers who have also had animals be a key aspect of their experience. So it's like, I would love to talk to whoever the researcher was that helped Spielberg pull all this stuff together, because it's clear that they spent time either talking to experiencers or at least reading experiencer reports.
Yeah, him or David Kep, because the writer, the screenwriter, it's like the two of them. He took Spielberg's not short story, but his treatment, his idea, and turned it into that. It's like, I want to know the 100%, man. So,
I
but
will say, and I don't think this is spoiler at all, but for me, the breakaway character that I did not expect to fall, kind of in love with her character as well as what she had to say was the nun.
oh yeah, the nun, and she's in the
Yeah,
trailer, so that's not giving
yeah.
anything away either.
So
But yeah, the nun, I loved that, touching on, because the biggest thing you always hear in terms of why the government hasn't shown us is that we fear mass panic, and that especially with religion, and this touches on that idea of what
yeah,
religion would think about it.
and I think it gives a really good response. So
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely 100% agree.
I mean, even as a non-religious person, it gives a really good response. So
Yep, absolutely.
So, all right. Well, thanks for your censored review of Disclosure Day. And again, if you haven't watched it, highly recommend it. If going to the movie theaters, not financially available yet, you can wait. But when it comes out for stream or for rent or something, I highly recommend you watch it.
Yep,
Yeah.
I highly recommend it as well. All right, well, let's move on to topic number 2. Topic number 2 is the Rhodes UFO photographs. What in tarnations is the Rhodes UFO photographs, and why are we tying it in with Disclosure Day?
Yeah, well, so it's a couple things. Number one, it predates Roswell by one day.
Nothing predates Roswell, not even Kenneth Arnold.
So, and it's really interesting because what was observed flew off towards the east, which would have been in the direction of, New Mexico from Phoenix, which is where these were photographed. Mm-hmm. So basically, the gist of it is that on July 7th, 1947, William Rhodes, who was a creative, he was a professional musician, he was an amateur photographer, he was a radio operator and an electronics enthusiast, and he was a resident of Phoenix, Arizona, specifically the North Phoenix area.
Hey, that was my neck of the hood.
Yep. Late afternoon, July 7th, 1947, he kind of hears an unusual noise. So he goes out in his backyard and looks up in the sky, and he sees this gray elliptical object spiraling downward. He estimates it to be around 20 to 30 feet across and traveling at around 400 to 600 miles per hour. And he says it descended roughly from around 5,000 feet down to 2,000 feet in a tight spiral. So he grabs his Kodak Brownie 120 camera and he takes 2 photographs. One during descent, and one as the object accelerates upward at a 45-degree angle. And these are among the earliest UFO photographs ever widely published.
Yeah.
He contacted the local newspaper the next day, and then they ran, his article of his sighting, including his pictures. And for me, I'll jump in real quick and say, for me, anybody who's gone back and listened to the very first episode where I was on the podcast, back when it was just Fearscape, and it was a radio show, you will have known that I give an account of a dream that I had a week prior to recording the first episode, in which I was standing in my grandparents' farm in a front field, and this UFO kind of hovered above me in the field. Right. And I always tried to describe this UFO as being kind of oval shaped with like a notch missing out of the back of it. And when I was researching this case a couple of years ago, somebody had mentioned to me, a friend had mentioned to me, I came across these pictures and I was blown away because the picture that was taken is the exact craft that I saw hovering above me in this dream.
Right. And, hopefully we'll have a similar picture, if not the same thing, on the thumbnail. But if you don't, just go to Rhodes UFO photographs at Wikipedia. It's right there. I mean, it shows both
Yeah.
pictures. It's
I mean,
absolutely phenomenal.
Anybody who's watching this on YouTube, I'll be putting up the images, as a part of our discussion. But yeah, if you're listening to this as the audio podcast version, like Stefan said, just Google it and there it is.
Yep. It's incredible. I mean, it's an incredible picture for 1947. And what's interesting about it is that it's different than everything else you saw, because most of those early UFO flying saucer pictures can be pie
Plates,
pans.
yeah.
Plates or
Hubcaps.
pie pans, but this is something different.
Yeah.
It's
And
something
it really,
completely different.
when you actually read the Kenneth Arnold account of what he saw, not the news the news publication that named it a flying saucer, where you think it's perfectly round. But when you read the Kenneth Arnold description, it also kind of describes a craft that is kind of notched in the back. So it's possible even that what Rhodes photographed was the same type of craft that Kenneth Arnold had observed, in Washington just a month prior.
Yeah, and it's interesting. There's that small hole in the middle of it,
Yeah.
right? It's like, is that a hole or is it a light?
Or, is it something to do with the propulsion mechanism? Well, I guess we'll probably never know unless it comes back.
Right.
So one of the really important things I think with this is, like I said, it was viewed in Phoenix, flew off towards the east, and then the very next morning, it's estimated the next morning that the Roswell event occurred.
Yeah.
So, is this even potentially the craft that crashed in Roswell?
Well, also, so if you go back, of course, after Kenneth Arnold, there was a lot of other flying saucer objects, airborne, being sighted and things like that. But what's interesting is that in Arizona, there was, by the second week of July, there were several sightings published as well. On July 7th, there was a story published in the Arizona Republic about a Tempe resident, Francis Howell, who reported seeing a circular object about 2 feet in diameter floating to the earth near his home. According to Howell, when they approached the object, it slowly went into the air at a 45-degree angle and headed in the direction of Phoenix. And then on July 8th, the Arizona Republic reported 2 silvery balls in the skies north of Phoenix. The paper estimated that the objects were to be about twice as large as an airplane.
Wow.
And then you add in the Rhodes UFO photographs that were published the very next day. It's just wild,
I mean, it really starts to paint the picture that, there's something about Phoenix.
Yep, there's something about Phoenix, and I've always said that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what's really interesting, it sometimes gets overlooked, is that the Air Force took an interest in Rhodes photos. Yeah. And the Air Force contacted the newspaper within 24 hours of the publishing of the article and the photos and requested copies of the photographs. A multi-agency investigation was launched, which included the Air Force, several intelligence offices, and the FBI, and the Air Material Command at Wright-Patterson. And they gave it a serious inquiry. Investigation began almost immediately, and it eventually became a part of Project Grudge and then later Project Blue Book. If you look up the file on the Congress the Library of Congress, you would look for Incident 40. That's the way it's phrased in those files. Incident 40. Yep. So the government was very interested in it. On August 29th, 1947, there was an interview conducted by a CIC Special Agent George Fugate Jr. and FBI Special Agent Brower. They said that they initially introduced only as representatives of the U.S. government and did not immediately identify themselves. Requested Rhodes surrender his photos and negatives. Rhodes turned over his photographs, but he said he didn't have his negatives at home, and so he would deliver them the next day, and he did. He was apparently told that he would likely not receive these back. But, sometime later, he wrote numerous letters, and those are all captured in that Incident 40 file in the Congress library, requesting his original photos and negatives. And there are many responses from the government saying, we don't have any record of ever receiving this stuff from you. Right. All we have record of is receiving the 2 photos that we got from the Arizona Republic as a part of our initial inquiry. So the question kind of floats around out there is, was this a Men in Black situation? Right. Where they confiscated his photos and his negatives, and it was not necessarily the U.S. government. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of investigation of the witness, Rhodes himself. Mm-hmm. They started looking at his credit history, his personal life, family background, his political affiliation, employment status, what his neighbors' opinions of him were. They wanted to know, was he trustworthy? Was he patriotic? Because apparently being patriotic makes you a good UFO witness.
Could he be a thing today?
Yeah. Could he be a hoaxer? And neighbors generally described him as intelligent, community-minded, and an excellent neighbor. Yet investigators continued searching for reasons to discredit him.
Of course.
So we kind of are left with some conflicting conclusions.
What are some explanations?
There is a very strong support for the case, obviously. There's no, astronomical explanation because it was daytime. It couldn't have been Venus. And I don't know if you know this or not, but Phoenix does not have swamps.
Yeah.
The similarity to Kenneth Arnold's descriptions were also kind of a key note for investigation, and really one of the most important early UFO cases. But the same reporters also warned that it could have been entirely fabricated. I don't know how you would fabricate the picture that he took. Like you said, it's not a pie pan or a hubcap. It's not perfectly round. And, I think a lot of people call into question that McMinnville photo because it does kind of look like it could be a hubcap. But, this is something, not like anything that's really had been photographed up to this point. They question whether or not it could be the result of an excitable mind, whatever that means.
Right.
And that it basically needed, reinvestigation. The evidence was considered highly compelling. The witness simultaneously viewed, with suspicion as well as credibility. And really, this is just sets the stage for that kind of pattern that's repeated throughout UFO history.
Yeah.
So Hynek's assessment, when he first got into it, was to look at, astronomical explanations, conventional explanations. And when he did, he couldn't come up with any explanation that was evident. Incident 40's placement was placed as a Category 3. Evidence offered no explanation apparent. So it was what's the Hynek valet classification system, CE3. So, Hynek apparently considered this case significant, and it remained unexplained despite the lengthy investigation. The big mystery today, number one, the mystery of what was it obviously stands, but the bigger kind of mystery of it is what happened to the negatives and the photos.
Yeah.
That the government has no record that they ever received them, and cannot. It's one thing if they would have written back and said, sorry, oops, we destroyed them.
Yeah.
Right. But their claim is that they never received them. And apparently there was based on the documents that I reviewed as a part of Incident 40 documentation, they spent a lot of resources trying to find these negatives and photos so that they could return them to him. But the last kind of sign off was from Ruppelt, which, as you remember, was a big part of the Project Grudge as well as Project Blue Book. And he just basically claimed that his office never had them.
Yeah. Well, and then did you hear I found two other explanations as well for this. The simplest one being windblown debris. Which, according to Wikipedia, says the Air Force stated in a report that it consulted 4 expert photographers about the photographs, and they had disagreed with each other as to the possibility of filming such an occurrence under the conditions described, considering that the object was gray as described and at a distance of 2,000 feet. It seems unlikely that it would appear pure black on the print. The report also noted that Rhodes referred to himself as the chief of staff of a laboratory, the specialties of which included photography, yet the negative was carelessly cut and faultily developed. It was covered with streaks and over a period of 6 months has faded very noticeably. Finally, the report stated that Dr. Irving Langmuir studied such photographs, or these subject photographs, and after learning of the prior passage of a thunderstorm, discounted the photographed object as being merely paper swept up by the winds. And in view of the apparent character of the witness, the conclusion by Dr. Langmuir seems entirely probable. That's the windblown debris one. But my favorite one,
which I mean, I have seen out here with the dust devils and stuff. I've seen them pick up stuff, and of course, whatever comes up, whatever goes up must come down. But the thing for me that makes a distinction is that when it got to 2,000 feet, it accelerated at a 45-degree angle eastward. Windblown debris doesn't float down. I mean, it could float down in a spiral, especially if it was in a dust devil, but it doesn't, when it gets to the bottom of its arc, then accelerate away at a 45-degree angle.
Right, especially, considering the other sightings within, days of each other, and Roswell and all those things. But my favorite explanation is the potential hoax of the Soviet craft. So it says, on the same day that Rhodes claimed to have taken his photographs, it was reported that the FBI was investigating a letter received by the Los Angeles Examiner asserting that the flying discs that had been widely cited were atomic-powered Soviet craft. The newspaper consulted a top-flight atomic scientist who assessed the letter as not all nonsense and recommended that it be given to authorities. And one historian argues that Rhodes faked his photographs using the story of the Soviet craft as a model. He said the similarities between the images in the Rhodes photographs and the touted Russian invention are fairly marked. The alleged Russian device was said to be only 18 inches thick and of a kidney-shaped outline, with the pilot in the prone position while guiding its flight. Generally, this matches Rhodes' U-shaped object with a non-protruding canopy. Thus, was it an accident that the first good saucer photo compared so well with the supposed communist design? This could confirm the Russian rumor, or it could mean Rhodes faked his story in pictures, since the Soviet missive saw print the same day as the claimed Phoenix UFO flyby.
It also could be that people saw this weird thing in the sky and said, "It's the Soviets!"
You're right, especially back then. I mean, I know it's 47, so it's really early in the Cold War. I mean, we're just a year or two in, but still, it was there. But the thing that wins me over is I think as a UFO community, most of us pretty much look at Kenneth Arnold as someone who was telling the truth, right? You
Yeah.
would say so. So
I mean, it's unlikely that he observed a flock of birds.
Arnold, according to Kenneth Arnold, he was shown the Rhodes photographs and he said that he considered them very authentic. So, I don't know. This is a guy that we're pretty sure saw what he saw, and here's a guy saying, "What that looks like what I saw."
So I got a couple of, I guess we'll call them discussion questions, if you will.
All right.
Do you think that photographic evidence still holds value today?
No,
Why?
because AI and Photoshop and everything else.
I think that at the face value that the public is expected to react to photographic evidence, it doesn't hold value. As an investigator, though, getting a photo and being able to look at all the metadata, like I can tell you if it's created by AI or if Photoshop was used to edit it. But, as our 7-second kind of attention spans these days, no one has the time to listen to someone explain why a photo is authentic. So they make their snap reaction to it either is or it isn't. And I think it tends to follow on the lines of the people who are believers, where the UFO topic and the some of the things that come along with it, they almost treat it as almost like a faith-based thing where they believe it regardless, but then there are people who are skeptical that still see things. I mean, you and I and Santosh, we share stuff to each other all the time, and it's like, what do you think? And we approach things still from a skeptic's perspective. But with the vast majority of people, their 7-second times, attention span, they're not doing that same credible check. And so they're either just, they're believers and they're saying, oh, yeah, that's one, I saw that, or they're dismissing it altogether and moving on. But yeah, people just they're either going to accept it and it's like one side of the pendulum or another. They're either believers and nothing can come their way that they won't believe or accept, or they dismiss everything. So,
you know who was the biggest believer in the Rhodes UFO photographs?
No.
Our buddy, Ray Palmer.
I don't know if that makes me feel good or not.
He used these photographs in Amazing Stories, in his Flying Saucers. He used these over and over and over and over. Even in his magazine Fate, he reprinted the photos. He said this is proof positive that these objects were flying discs of an aeronautical design unrecognizable by experts. He loved this, and he even used it as evidence in his book, The Coming of the Saucers, the one he wrote with Arnold. So,
yeah, again, I'm not sure that I should be comforted by his enthusiast interest in the pictures, knowing what we know about Ray Palmer and Gray Barker. Yep. So, the other question I have is do you think if this same thing happened today, in today's climate, do you think the public reaction would be any different?
Right now, I think people are desensitized. So I think they would just say, oh, it's another one, because I don't even think it would make the news. I think it would just make a History Channel special.
Yeah.
And not even a special. It'd be a segment on the William Shatner one that's popular right now.
Right. Well, I mean, Incident 40, this case was pretty much overlooked for a long time because the Roswell incident happened the very next day, and that hit all the papers. And so, only after the fact that really people started looking at this and realizing, hey, this was a pretty big case and it deserves its own credible investigation from the public, or interest from the public.
Yeah.
So I wonder how many of these other cases that are like that were published in small newspapers. I mean, Arizona Republic wasn't small, but the Republican, that were published in small newspapers that never really got their day in the eye of the public, so to speak, on these experiences or even photographs that people had.
Right.
Makes me want to get like a newspapers.com subscription and just comb through old newspaper to see what else is out there. You know, like John Keel when he was writing his books, and people would send him all these newspaper clippings from all over the country. So
yeah, you can send us links to sightings and stories. Please do. Please do.
You can email us at theshadowsignalpodcast@gmail.com, or you can just drop a comment on our socials on Facebook or YouTube or whatever.
Instagram or whatever,
turn us on to things that we may not know about, haven't talked about. After doing this for going into our 7th year, we've talked about a lot of things, but I'm sure there's also a lot of cases and things we haven't talked about. So
I agree. All right, Josh. Well, I think we could probably keep talking about this, but we've reached our pinnacle of about an hour, so I wanted to wrap things up. So I appreciate all the work done into this. And again, I just want to say to our audience, go see Disclosure Day. I'm curious to see what you all think about it.
Do it
now. But let's go ahead and get out of here, my friend. We are in June, moving into July, so we're hitting 250 years for America. So should be interesting. And
the anniversary of Roswell coming up in just like 18 days, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And the anniversary of the Rhodes photographs.
Yep, so. There you go.
Yep, next year will be 70 or something like that.
Something like that.
80. I don't know. I don't math. I'm a theater major. All right, let's get out of here. Thank you guys so much Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Shadow Signal. This has been Stefan reminding you to stay in the shadows and listen for the signal.
And this has been Josh. The truth is now.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you next month.
Good night.